All right, everybody. Welcome to part 3 of building this Airbnb SaaS. Where we left off last time, we had just edited the front end, made it a little bit nicer. It still needs a lot of work, and the back end is connected. So when a user goes through the flow, they will have a PDF guidebook generated for them, and they'll be able to view the guidebook right on the website. Now, I'd like to come up with this new feature today where they'll have an actual guidebook that it has a dedicated URL hosted on the internet that can be scanned via QR code or just clicked on as a link that will give the guests the guidebook virtually on their phone or on their computer. To do this, PDF definitely isn't the best option for that. So we're going to have just regular HTML templates, maybe some JavaScript and TypeScript, whatever is needed to actually show the website or render it. And we're going to pull data from a database, so all of their parameters of their home address, of their host information, of the local things to do, et cetera, that's all going to be hosted or held in a database. And we're just going to have an HTML template that takes those parameters and renders the website at a unique URL. So, without further ado, I've got my coffee here, and let's get to coding. Okay, so I've got my AI prompt here. I'm letting it know right off the bat that I've already started the front end and back end servers because I've had this problem where it keeps on asking me at the end of every prompt, hey, do you want to start the front end server? Hey, do you want to start the back end server? So now I'm just telling it right off the get-go that we already have those started. So I'm telling it we should add an additional feature to building the guidebook. When a user finishes building the guidebook and the PDF is generated, we should also produce a live website URL that stores a template. So we're going to build a dynamic guidebook system where each guidebook has a unique URL, for example, guidebook/ID, and is rendered using a shared HTML template. The template should render showing tabs for arrival, departure, places, the activities, attractions, etc. Store all guidebook data in a database and fetch render it on page load. So we're going to go ahead and have it start working on that. I like to use, for my databases, Supabase, just because it's easy to host. So let me see while this is working on that. Let me slide this over and I'll show you guys here. I already have an organization started. Let me start another one called GuideWise, and it'll be on the free tier. Maybe eventually, once we get it actually hosted, we might upgrade that to a paid tier, but for now, the free tier will be just fine. Organization, GuideWise, we'll call it the GuideWise DB, and database password, and now nothing for the security options, and for advanced configuration, we're going to leave those as the default. Maybe should have changed the region actually, but that's okay, doesn't matter too much. Save that. And so now we have our new project up and running. And we are going to need some new tables eventually. But for now, let's check on the code here. How is this doing? Pip install, let me say, use the full pip bend path to install, because otherwise this is going to install in our global environment again, which we do not want. Sorry, I was like halfway standing right there. Now I'm going to sit down. Okay, we'll allow it to find the vend. And this is a new chat with the AI agent, so it has very little context and needs to read through the whole context of my repo, which is getting pretty large at this point. And again, so now it wants to do that. Yeah, let's allow it. And so this is our development and front-end server. Here's our front-end server, and so this is where it's actually hosted. If you guys want to see, be reminded, this is where we're at right now. And I just realized it's all left. Why is it all on the left side right now? That is not how it's supposed to be. I think before, oh my gosh, this is embarrassing. Before, I'm pretty sure it was like, before it was like this, and so I thought it looked normal. and now I realize that it only looked normal because I was only showing half the screen. So that, of course, will need to be adjusted. This is how we have it right now, and when we get started, we get all this guidebook information. We go through this flow, and then it will create as a guidebook. Whoa, we're starting Unicorn now. Why do we need Unicorn? Wait, don't use Unicorn. I've just been running Python app.py. Is that fine? So it wants me to restart the server, the Flask server. So we can do that with just going app.py. Yeah, that's perfectly fine for development. I restarted it on my side. So let's look at the changes that it's made, because it's made quite a few. Guidebook.db page. Whoa, 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 whoa. Here's a quick recap of what I've done. Backend, I've integrated a database to store guidebook information, so each guidebook you create will have a permanent unique URL. Frontend, I've created the create guidebook workflow. When you finish, instead of a PDF download, you'll be taken to a success page that displays Okay, so it looks like it completely replaced the success page with this new page. So I'm gonna reject the success page changes. Just reject the whole thing. And you don't have to go through one by one, except I think when you're just doing it as a page, you kind of do. I'm going to say I rejected the success page changes you made. The success page should stay the same, except should link to the new guidebook URL page. That guidebook URL page, that guidebook page should show button tabs for each of the different categories and be optimized for mobile. Because most of the time that people are going to be looking at this, it's going to be through, I'm imagining it as a QR code somewhere in the house, and then somebody just goes up and scans it with their phone, so it's going to pop up in their phone, so we need to make sure that it's mobile optimized. It should work on both web and mobile, but okay, so it has just built a whole bunch of stuff for us, a whole new template. We're going to see if this is all actually going to work. I went ahead and accepted those changes. They created this here, this guidebooks.db in the top left corner. That's just a little SQLite instance. So it's definitely not a production database. Again, we're gonna have to use Supabase, which we started setting up earlier. So the next step is I'm going to go ahead and connect our Supabase database so that way we can get rid of this little guidebooks.db that it made, because this guidebooks.db is only really good for local. But before I do that, I want to test it out and I want to see if this will actually work. So let's go here. I'm going to open up DevTools just to make sure, just that way we can see what's going on. But we'll get started. Type in random stuff, full address, 123 Main Street, San Francisco, CA, and street, none of this matters. access information, Wi-Fi name. Oh my gosh, there's so much to type in here actually. Next, cover image. Upload a cover image. We should do that. Let me choose one. Let's try this one. Why not? That is an Airbnb that I operate. We'll do 3 and 3. Oh, what? What did we just get? We just got an error. Listener indicated. There might be a problem with that image because it's a WebP image actually. So let me try to choose a different image. Let me try to choose this one. This one's a PNG, so this one should work. Okay. Still one error showed up. Let's see for the value attribute. Well, let's just see what's going to happen here. This is when it's hitting the API. Failed to fetch. Okay, what's wrong with it? Access from origin. Localhost 3000 has been blocked by CORS policy. So now we're getting 2 issues here. Let's see, I'm assuming that the second one is that. Failed to fetch. Okay. I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste that. It looks like it's just a CORS error, which is just a, should just be a setting in our backend here. I'm, again, not super familiar with Flask though, so I'm not sure where that setting is. In Django, it would just be, there's literally a settings.py file in Django. So let's see here. It looks like you're running into classic cross origins, resource sharing issue, server-side error. The server error is happening because we recently updated the Guidebook database. Reset the database. Delete. Okay, let's go ahead and just remove it for now, since that's what it wants to do. It doesn't look like it got removed though. So, okay. Oh wait, here. This is the actual error in the console. Okay. Oh wait, I see this error in the console for backend. I'm pretty sure that this is because we don't have any tables or any structure built into our Guidebook DB. We haven't ever done that, or we haven't done that yet. So we'll need to do that before we can actually add any data to it. Like the Guidebook doesn't have a table, so there's no, it's just a completely unstructured database. It's just like a location right now, and the data needs to be structured in a way. So you found the exact error, yeah, okay. Well, let's see if we need to do that. So it thinks that the solution is just to restart the development server. Maybe that is, so maybe that is the problem, but we'll see. So let me go back to localhost and we'll see what's gonna happen here. Oh my gosh, I hate that I have to type all this in every time. 123 Main Street, New York, New York. Let me copy that for future. There must be a way somebody can post this later of like how to not have to go through this whole flow every time. How can I just have this like way faster? Okay, no error yet, which is good. Okay, so far no errors popping up that you can see in our bottom left here at the N. I guess I can't scroll into that area, but this bottom left N does not have, oh, there's the issue. Okay, great. Fantastic. So we got an issue here. And then it's actually saying, again, it's a CORS policy issue, but I don't think it is. I think it's a back-end issue. Yeah, let me. still getting this issue. If it doesn't fix it right away right here, I'm just going to ask it to get rid of Guidebooks DB, and we're going to go ahead I think that didn't go through. If it doesn't fix it right here, we're going to go ahead and get rid of guidebooks.db, and we're going to go ahead and just connect our Supabase DB before we even try this. The thing is I don't think that we ever define guidebooks.template. Where do we do that? Or sorry, not guidebooks.template. I don't think we ever define this, things to do, here in the bottom left. It's saying the error table guidebook has no column named things to do. That's because we haven't ever defined anything for guidebooks.db. So let me search in here if there's anything that says that, things to do. Okay, maybe it is in the app.py. Class guidebook db.model. Num things to do. Things to do. Okay, so that does exist. Okay, I guess we'll let it do its thing. Okay, we just deleted the database and restarted it, so let's see if it'll work this time. And again, we're just going to type in all random stuff here. Get a cover image, and I am going to choose a legit cover image. This one. And let's see if this will work this time. Okay, so we have some success. We got to the success page. It worked correctly. The problem is this is not the PDF that we were looking at yesterday. This is a much worse PDF. This looks like it's just rendering maybe the live guidebook template, but let's do two things. One, I'm going to try to download this PDF, and let's see what happens there. Guidebook, let's see what it gives us. Okay, it's going to give us that same PDF. That's shit. So I hope it didn't get rid of the old template. Guidebook template. Has this changed? Because this should not have changed. It looks like it did. Okay, so that changed. But let's go and look at our live guidebook. And cool, okay. Okay. Up in one spot. The templates, we should have two now. One is the guidebook template from before, and the other is guidebook URL template, which will be the new one that has the URL site. So I'm reverting the change for guidebook template, and then I need you to create a new template that will hold the HTML for the new site, for the new URL guidebook. And so guidebook templates, let's revert that, discard that file. And it should create a new template, and this will give us basically what we were just working on, which is this. So this will be its own template, and then the PDF template that we had yesterday will be still around, so that way this here will be what we were working with yesterday. Because I want them to have two options. I want them to actually have an actual PDF template, but I also want a live guidebook location. Okay, so I'm gonna let it work on this. Okay, so it's failing to actually make these changes for whatever reason, so I'm gonna actually just make it for it. Template URL.html. Not a big problem. Oh wait, it should be guidebook URL template. This is probably not the best name for it ever, but the nice thing is that it gave me the HTML here, and then it's actually telling me what the other changes are that I need to make. So I do need to update app.py. So this needs to be view guidebook should be, change this to the URL template. Yeah, so where is that though? Guidebook ID should be here, so it should be guidebook URL _ template. Yeah, it's that one. So making those changes, perfecto. And now when we do this, let's see what it'll probably do the same thing. Okay, failed. Wait, why is this failing? Okay, it doesn't it just doesn't know. So let's just we're just gonna do this. We're gonna restart through the flow again. Oh my gosh, I'll pause it so that way you don't have to watch. Okay guys, success. It's back to where it was before. So this is how the PDF looked yesterday, and yes, I know it still doesn't look that good, but it's better than nothing. So we have that, boom, and then now we can download it, but also view live. And now we have this. So this will be the guidebook URL, and then this will be something that's always hosted and always ready to go. So boom, things to do, places to eat. Look at that. It looks pretty nice once we get the actual photos there and maybe better things to do. But I think that this is starting to come along. Now this, of course, still looks like absolute crap. So let's just change this to be, let's change up this template a little bit. And also let's check for mobile, because we did specify that this should be mobile friendly. Like I said before, most people are going to be going to this URL via mobile. So we need to make sure that it's optimized for mobile. And let's see how this looks. And automatically, I can tell you, it looks really, actually not that bad. Not that bad, huh? Not that bad, but not great either. So I'm gonna give it a few pointers. So one thing that I think could be good for design-wise is if instead of these being like underlined and just clicking on each one like this, I'd rather it be kind of like a button or an icon. Kind of like, okay, let me look at Airbnb, how Airbnb does it. Like, look at this, look at boom. I think that looks a lot nicer. I guess that's kind of similar to how ours does it, but it's not quite right. So that's one option. But yeah, I think that we're going to tell it to do that. Let's give it, we'll say, give it an icon next to each one. Store, and then we should also store core information on the side here. Let's create a side, I forget what you call that, like a little module here on the left. So that way it'll have our contact information and anything that needs to be immediate. I think that that'll look pretty nice mobile too. Actually, how would that look mobilely? You couldn't do that on the left side, could you? I guess, okay, scratch that about the stuff on the left side. Let's just adjust this, and also definitely adjust, at the very least, the font color to be the same font color as Airbnb. So, good. Let's now adjust the Guidebook URL template a bit. It should now be using the same pink color we use elsewhere on the front end instead of the blue for specific fonts. The slider at the top for selecting buttons should slide from left to right cleanly when someone clicks on a different button. Each button at the top should also have an icon next to it. So we'll give it that and we'll see what it creates. Hopefully it'll look a lot nicer. And then after that, I already promised that we would do this. We will set up that Supabase DB to get that connected because that's important. We don't want to just be using this SQLite the whole time. So we will, we'll connect that after. I have a story for you guys that happened today. A little timeout right now. Well, I don't know if I'm going to include this in the video, to be honest. It's kind of embarrassing. So I decided to go short on the stock market for the first time in my life, like 2 weeks ago, because the stock market's been going high. We've got Donald Trump as president and he just does crazy shit. So I know that the market's going to go up and go down and go up and down. And it just felt like it had been a while since Trump had said something crazy. So I decided, okay, let me go short on the market. Why not? Bad decision. Bad decision. I bought puts for about $10,000 of puts, which is just like I'm betting on the market to go down basically. And they expired yesterday. Yesterday was Thursday. And so the market has been going up these past 2 weeks, not like tremendously up, but definitely been going up. So those puts became worthless. They expired yesterday, worthless. Well, today, guess what happens? The market absolutely tanks. Those puts that expired yesterday as worthless, today would have been worth, I hate that I did the math on this, but they would have been worth about $25,000. So yeah, you can be me and just have lost 25K today pretty much. Really, I only lost 10K, but in a sense, I lost 25K. Either way, it doesn't sound very good. 25K in potential. It's rough. All because of one day. If I just extended out those puts one day, I don't know why I did it for a Thursday too. Why did I have them expire on a Thursday? I don't know. I just chose a random day pretty much. I was like, 2.5 weeks from now, I'm sure that, like this was my thought process when I was buying it. 2.5 weeks from now, that's a long time already. It doesn't really matter. I'll probably sell it within like a week. I didn't think I was going to hold it till term for 2.5 weeks, but I ended up holding it to term and they expired worthless. So yeah, be me and everything sucks. Okay, back to this. Yeah, I'll probably cut that out. I don't want to say too much about my personal life, especially about losing a bunch of money that I can't afford to lose. I mean, I can't afford to lose it. This isn't full Wall Street bets, gay bear shit, but it's a little bit of Wall Street bets regardation. So shout out to them. Okay, what does it want? Excellent. The new styles have been applied, and now it just wants to run this. Okay, let's check it out. Let's see how it looks now. I think if I just refresh, it should do it. Okay, yeah, this is the wrong pink color. Okay, it does have that nice slide though now. It slides really well. That's good. The pink color is wrong. So the pink color is wrong. Use the same color as on, what is the page? Is on, what is the base page? Is on the home page of the app. Also, I usually set up a themes.js. I'm gonna ask it if it thinks it's a good idea. If you think it's a good idea, also set up a themes.js to store the fonts and colors of the site. Okay. We'll let it do its thing. Okay, so it got the right color now. There's still some more template changes that I want to make, so I'm going to work on this for a while, and once I'm more content with how this looks, then we will finally get to connecting the database, because that's important. BRB. Okay, I didn't add a whole lot actually. I kind of wasted my time editing this template, but we at least have some transitions now. So it looks a little bit nicer with the slides. It's a little goofy still, but changed up the things to do page. I think it overall looks a little bit nicer now, and got the mobile fixed. So when we refresh on mobile, mobile is working a lot better than it was before. So I'm gonna leave this for now and call this good. And by the way, this should save in our database. So I'm gonna hold on to this URL and see if we can come back to it later, because it should still be there. Let's go to our database and let's tell this thing, let's accept all, and let's say, let's switch our database to my Supabase database. I can add the connection in a .env file. Just tell me what I need. And then if we look over on Supabase, we can go to database, and actually, we didn't even have to go to database because it's just right up here at connect, and we have a connection string that we can use. But let's see how the AI wants us to connect first. So it thinks it's a great step to do that. So we already have our .env file. That was my OpenAI key. I'll have to cut that out. Install new Python packages. That's already done. So it just wants the connection string. What did it change here? I'm going to actually reject this. Because it got rid of a bunch of stuff. We are using WheezyPrint. We're not using XHTML to PDF. So yeah, this would have been bad. That's a bad thing to use. We should not have that. Good thing I did not go forward with it. That would have broken our whole app because WheezyPrint is necessary. But okay, so let me add the connection string, which is here. And actually, one good thing to know with Supabase is you have to pay attention to this, the not IPv4 compatible. Because it's not IPv4, I usually just go with one of these other ones with a transaction pooler and just take this connection string instead. You can also view parameters, by the way, and just do it this way, individual parameters. But in this case, I'm just going to use the full connection string and just change this, your password to my password. But what I mean by IPv4 compatible is if your router or your system doesn't default to IPv6, or sometimes it's just not even capable of using IPv6, then this connection won't work. It only works via IPv6. So, this is the first time I ever tried connecting to Supabase. This was causing me a lot of headache, so I just switched to this other transaction pooler, and it works just fine. So let me pause this, and I'll update my .env with the new connection string. Okay, I added it, and now this went ahead and added some stuff to my app.js, or app.py, sorry. This all looks fine except for right here, it's os.environ, get this environment. And it forgot to import OS up at the top, so it caused our terminal server to fail at the bottom. But I'm just going to go ahead and accept these changes, and then I'll just import it myself. Import OS, and now that should start working. And also another thing that AI always does, which I actually hate, is it always creates a fallback to SQLite. I don't want a fallback. If this connection isn't working, then I want it to fail. I want to know that the connection's not working. So that's one thing that AI always does that I find quite annoying, is there's always fallbacks, and it's not good, it's not right. So let's try to restart the server now, and let's see. Name OS is not defined. No, that was the old error. So no module named SysOpG2. Don't we have that already? Python.env. What? SysOpG2. Okay, 1 second. Okay, so yeah, we just need this package. I wasn't sure if we actually needed it or not, the SysOpG2, but we do. We definitely do. Because we're using get environ right here in app.py. Let me show you. os.environ, this here, .get, that is part of the SysOpG2. So we're going to do this. Install -r requirements.txt, and that should install it. Successfully installed. And now when we run the server, it should run now. Okay, perfect. I wonder how my OpenAI key was being called then, because if we didn't have SysOpG2. Let me check that really quick. Where main.py, create guidebook, environment. 1 second, let me pause. Okay, very interesting. I just discovered that I'm actually not, I'm doing a load.env to get the environment variables, but I'm not actually declaring the API key in this OpenAI, and it's actually just defaults within whenever you create this function, this class, whatever you call it, OpenAI, it'll just automatically look in your .env file for it. So yeah, that's really cool. That's right. You don't need to use os.env to actually declare the variables. It just automatically will search for it. In production, it will also work. You'll set the OpenAI key directly as an environment variable. Okay, cool. We need to see if this is actually working now. So let's go and test it out. It should be working, hopefully. So again, let me go ahead and type in all this info. Okay, sweet. It looks like it worked. Let's check here. It does look like it worked. So it seems like it's connecting to the new database just fine. Let me view the live guidebook and make sure that this is still working. And this is where it might fail. No, it's still working, it looks like. Perfect. Okay, this is quite nice. This is quite nice now. And now let's check our DB here. And so now we should actually have some tables that were created. So let's go here, and look at that, we have guidebook. And we have the ID, property name, host name, etc., etc. That's awesome. So one thing that we're gonna have to do is, I'm a data engineer, and so this is what I specialize in, is we're gonna have to turn this into a relational DB to make it a lot faster and better, and to prevent duplication of data. So we'll need some different tables and different table structure in here, which I'm debating, we might wanna just go ahead and do that right now, to be honest with you, and figure out these models. Because things like host name, what if a host has multiple listings or multiple guidebooks? We could just reuse the same host name, right? And same with Wi-Fi. What if, I guess this is less common, but maybe if you have a big condo building with multiple different units all on the same Wi-Fi, then the Wi-Fi network and password would be the same. Or if you just use the same Wi-Fi network and password across all your units. Like it's always the same name. It's different Wi-Fi's, but it's different, or it's the same name and password. So we could pull that out as well. check-in and out time, that would just stay. Address, of course, would stay because it's unique to each one. A rule set, you could create your own specific rule set table as well. So there's a few things that we would need to pull out here. But pretty good. Okay, so now this will stay too. And so now if we look here, so this, that there is that. That's C5300, that's the ID of this guidebook. That's awesome, that's sweet. And so now we can just continue and add, and then this will stay here forever. And it'll just be rendered at the time of going to the URL. That's pretty convenient. Okay, so now we've got Supabase set up. There's a lot of other things that we need to work on. The biggest thing that I think that we need to do right now is we need to fix up this flow. We need to make this flow way better, but let me think if there's anything else that we need to do first. Okay, I've decided it is better to just go ahead and get this DB set up now and normalize it for future's sake. I could do this myself, but why would I when I can just have the AI do it? Let's normalize our data. We should have a central fact table called Guidebook that has dimension tables for properties, hosts, Wi-Fi. What else did I say could potentially be pulled out? Rules. And do we want to do things to do and places to eat? So that way it's not just as a JSON. Let's think. Okay, so if we just leave things to do and places to eat as a JSON, then they're always all going to populate. But we don't need to store them in a database. I think it is better to just leave them as JSON. Okay, we're going to leave them as a JSON. Okay, and it's going to go ahead and start working on that. Okay, so it's changed a lot here. So this was a big change for sure to normalize all this data. And so what it ended up actually doing is it created a whole new models file. And so this models file now has guidebook, rule, Wi-Fi, property, and host classes. So each one of these is akin to a table in Supabase. So all of these will be created tables. And guidebook has foreign keys to host ID, property ID, Wi-Fi ID. And I don't know what's going on with the rules here. It should actually be a foreign key. I don't know why it wouldn't be a foreign key there. Let me think about that. Okay, so yeah, obviously the reason that rules wasn't a foreign key, I don't know why I didn't immediately think of that, is because obviously it's a one-to-many relationship. So guidebook can have many rules associated with it. The other thing is I'm not totally sure why like class rule would have guidebook ID. Why would guidebooks, you know? Okay, so yeah, that's a one-to-many relationship, one-to-many. So it's just a reverse there. Okay, perfect. So we were running into another error though with the JSON type, so it's working through that. The unsupported media type error is exactly what I suspected. Your front end is sending data as a form, but your back end is now expecting pure JSON. This is happening because we need to send the cover image file along with the form data. The best way to solve this is to convert the image into a text format on the front end, include it directly in the JSON data. Okay, perfect. So let's try this now, and if this works, then I think that we will actually go ahead and accept all this. So let's try it. I hate that I do this, but, and let's choose a cover photo and things to do and places to eat. Let's see if this actually works. So far it's going. This might actually happen. Let's check our server here. No errors on that just yet. And we just got a response from OpenAI, and now we got the error. Okay, so we did get an error. Let's see what that error is. It was just an API error, but here we can actually see what happened. So let me copy paste this whole thing. Undefined column host ID of relation guidebook does not exist. Okay, let's see what's going on there. So I think if it host ID does exist there in Guidebook. So why is that not happening? Column host ID of relation Guidebook does not exist. This is database error in the tree. Oh, it's because, you know what it is? It's because in my Supabase, there's already a Guidebook table. So we need to drop that old Guidebook table and add in this new one. Okay, so like if we check Supabase right now, let's see what we got. So see, there is still only one Guidebook table and it's the same as it was before. So let's do this. We'll just drop everything from the database, that's fine. So it actually gives us the command for it. So we're just gonna drop all the tables. Yeah, just run this query. Okay, so now our database should be totally empty, no tables created. Now let's close our Flask server and restart it down at the terminal below. Okay, it's started up, and let's see if it now provides some tables here for us. And we do have some tables, and it's even a nice little, I didn't know that Supabase did this, a schema visualizer. So we can see all of these things. So host ID associated with all of this. Okay, Wi-Fi ID, network password. Perfect, this looks good. That's how we want the schema to look. And we can see that we have all of these now. So now we can go back to this and we'll try this one more time. I'll pause it. Okay, well, ran into a couple problems, but we did get it to end up working. One of the things that we ended up having a problem with was storing these images. So we are now storing these images as base 64 text strings within our database, which is not ideal. I looked it up. Apparently it increases the size of the image by about 33%, but it'll be fine for right now. So I wonder what, so this is what it actually looks like. Value is longer than 10,240 characters. Yeah, that's kind of crazy. So it's not ideal, but another thing I just noticed is that the IDs are all these crazy, they don't need to be these. The IDs should just be ints, except for the Guidebook ID. So let's go back here and let's check this live Guidebook and see if this is still working. And it does still work. Good, good, good. And we're still able to pull all this data, things to do, places to eat. For some reason, it's only pulling 3. I'm pretty sure I said to pull 5. So I'll have to check that out as well. Things to do. Let me just check this. So that's 1, 2, 3. Yeah, there's only 3. Okay, well, I guess that's fine. So some database structuring issues that I'm gonna fix right now is firstly this, I actually only these ID things, and I'm actually gonna make our ID. This is kind of a ridiculously long ID. It doesn't need to be that long and secure. It's just, so we're gonna make this shorter, this UUID, and then we're gonna make these IDs just ints. And also let me check this rule ID. Okay, and so then it has a foreign key to the guidebook ID. Nice. Perfect. We'll go with that. I'm gonna fix that and let you know. Okay, you know what? I decided I'm a data guy, I'm a data engineer. I should actually finally do something with my own two hands, and it's super easy. So we look at our models definitions. All I want to do is just change the ID of these. So let's go here. So this one actually, our rule model already uses db.integer. So let's just replace these guys. db.integer, this will be db.integer, and this will be db.integer. And then for our guidebooks, so this, now all those foreign keys need to be adjusted, and then this should not be db integer, but we're gonna switch it from 36 to, let's just do like, I don't know, 12. 12 seems pretty reasonable. And so then I think we'll have to change it here as well. So this will be 12, and I don't think we have to change it anywhere else. So that should do that. And now we need to go back and reset our database again to make these. Actually, I don't know if we do need to do that. I think since it's primary keys, maybe we do. I'm just gonna go ahead and drop these tables by another time. So now we're starting with a fresh database, and now we can go and we're gonna close this and restart the server, which will now recreate these tables for us, and all these tables will be empty, but at least now the IDs won't be totally ridiculous. And let me try this one more time to make sure that it's working. Okay, one thing that I totally forgot to do is when we're sending this request now that we're sending it to a different thing, we need to adjust that. So when we go to here, main .py, when we're sending this data, now this all needs to be guidebook.id. Okay, where is it? Where's the ID stuff? Rule.text. Create guidebook PDF, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so it must be an app.py here, which I see this here. We don't need these three. Might as well clean some stuff up, right? Let's see, return render, host name, rules, generate guidebook route. Okay, where's the ID stuff? Okay, actually, I am gonna ask Windsurf because it's gonna be faster. So, change the IDs for some models to be hits instead of bar chart. Now I'm getting this error, and we'll just copy paste the error that we're getting. So it's insert into host ID name values. And we'll see what it does. Okay guys, silly me, this was the problem. It's this default lambda string UUID, which was not applicable to an integer, of course. So let me accept that, and now I'm gonna have to go back and drop this once again. So there's got to be a better way of doing this too. I shouldn't have to every time I change the database, but I guess maybe with primary keys it might be different. And then close that, restart, and then let's try this one more time. Okay, that started. Generate the guidebook. Let's see if it goes. Okay, it also didn't like the fact that I changed it from 36 to 12. I thought that would be fine. I guess the AI said that's not allowed. So changing that back, and after that it should work. And we can call that a success. So it is now working. We can see our PDF, etc., etc. And for some reason it's only returning 3 again. What the heck? I don't know why it's doing that, but let me check this. Things to do, 1, 2, 3. What? Okay, it must not be must be defaulting to 3 instead of taking the number that I said. But, okay, that's a later fix. We're gonna change that whole thing up anyways. Let's make sure that the live guidebook is still working as well. It is. Sweet. Very nice. I think that this is a good stopping point for the day. The next big step is going to be to completely redo. Why is there an issue here? Whatever, I'm just going to ignore it for now. Is to completely redo the actual flow here, because this is unacceptable. So we're going to adjust this. We're also going to change up the APIs, so that way instead of the places and things to do being populated at the end, we're going to give them a choice. So it'll be part of the flow. It will ask, please add things to do or places to go. And then it'll be or have AI suggest some. And so then we'll auto suggest, and then they'll just be able to click, yeah. I want this one, I want this one, I want this one. And just add those ones to the suggestions. Rather than it just having it show up at the very end, because it's not going to be very good if it's gonna suggest stuff that's like 50 miles away or something, or if it's like you're in New York and then you have your guidebook just suggests the Eiffel Tower, and it's like, oh great, yeah, that's so helpful for me. Like I had no idea that I should go to the Eiffel Tower when I'm in. Did I say New York? Oh my gosh. Paris Eiffel Tower, New York Statue of Liberty. Okay, that's enough for the day. My brain's dead. Calling it. We'll see you in part 4. Chaka.